Hi, I'm Perry from Rennet Rind. I'm here today to talk to you about a lovely box of cheese you've just received from us, be it a gift for someone else or you've gifted it yourself. And I'm the person that puts these boxes together. Been doing it since lockdown. It's coming up to like some kind of crazy anniversary of maybe like 150, 200 boxes that I've put together over these last couple of years. And yeah, the whole idea behind it is stuff I've selected. I suppose why am I the right person to select your cheese for you would be important to say. I'm Britain's first ever raffineur of the year. So in these rooms, this is where we control the temperature, humidity to get the cheese just right for you. And then it goes out that door there, gets cut up by Lewis or Adrian or Emma or Ellie, sorry, I nearly said Emily. I should know them all, we're a small team. Cut up, fresh, delivered the next day, so you can enjoy them at their like maximum ripeness. So hopefully with those credentials, I've done a pretty good job about putting these together. So it's the month of May. The weather's a little bit so-so, up and down. Yeah, the pinnacle this year feels like of British weather. So I try and match the seasons to what people would do. I can see some sun breaking in, so I can imagine a little bit more picky bits are coming out for alfresco dining. So we've still got some of that freshness in there that people want, but a few hard hitters as well and traditional in this box. So in your box, you've obviously got your cheeses, you've got your Peter's Yard biscuits, which may come in handy this time. And then our box as well, that would come, all temperature controlled. So let's start. Oh, tasting notes, they're important. If you don't want to listen to me, you can read these, you know. But yeah, it's a nice way for me to have accountability and sit in front of you and try these cheeses and give you an honest reaction of why I chose them and why I was quite excited about them. So the first cheese we have up by Blackwoods Dairy, made by David. David, like, this is an interesting story. I'm just going to rip this open because it's going to be easier for me to handle on camera. Well, I probably should have just done that. This is Edmund Tew. So Edmund Tew has a cool story behind it. It's called Edmund Tew. David's Australian. And Edmund Tew was a chap who was kind of deported many, many years ago over to Australia for stealing cheese, which is a cool thing to be deported for any reason. And it's this lovely little longer kind of style cheese. It's got this kind of orangey, pinky rind, which is like, it's washed. It's a wash rind cheese. So, wash rind cheese, give it a sniff. Yeah, it's aggressive. You know, it's a nice ferment kind of edge. A little bit like typically, you know, like cheesy. I know that sounds, yeah, of course it's cheese, but most of these cheeses don't really kind of like taste of that, I suppose, you know, or smell like that. But it's got this really nice vermiculated rind on the outside, a bit brainy. We know some geos landed on there. We've got some bee linens and other stuff going on from the washing. It's a really good looking cheese. And I thought, not available on the website as of yet, exclusive to you guys in the box. It's got this really nice paste to it. So we've got like a decent core, but a nice breakdown just on the outside. So I'm excited. This would be a really nice balanced one to start us off with. Now, a lot of people are like, wash rind cheese, God, it smells like an old gym bag. Yeah, it does. But their bark is definitely far worse than their bite. So let's have a taste. Texture is heavenly. That's like, wow. That's a fantastic cheese. You get that pungency coming through, a little bit kind of like fermented fruit kind of area, that pepperiness that comes on there as well, lactic kind of sour cream, good degree of salting, which now, it's left the palate, tips into that kind of area of a meaty. So we're in that beef stock right at the end. That is delicious. So Moorish. In love with that. Great cheese to start off with. Glad that you guys have never had this in the box before. Makes it really individual. Awesome. Well happy with Edmund. Good on Edmund. Or David that makes it. Next cheese we have up. So we have Ashcombe. So Ashcombe is a Morbier style, made in the Cotswolds by David Jowett. You can tell it by this like ash line that runs through the middle. Sorry, I've got a piece of paper still stuck on there. This ash line that runs right through the middle. Really pretty looking cheese. You know, there's some new methods that are going on with Ashcombe. We've had this over the years. It was always a little bit more gnarly, but I think David's picked himself up a mortar machine, which is like a brusher that kind of aggressively brushes and washes the outside of the cheese. That's why you get these really pronounced, kind of sharper edges. And the overall look of the cheese is just far more cleaner, which is pretty cool. And it being wash rind as well, ties in well with the first cheese, but has that kind of a different edge, you know. So aroma, milk, grass, a little bit lactic, quite low, not pungent. On the rind, a little bit more pungent, more sweet fruit that we're getting there. So let me cut a little bit off. Edmund Tew is like a nice layer around the mouth actually on this second cheese. Let's have a go. Nice texture. That pliancy, a little bit more bouncy. Completely different dimension from the Edmund. And the Edmund's done a really nice thing of taking care of that severe savouriness. So the highlighting, this is why we're saying eat them in order, the highlighting of that lactic fresh and that fruit and floral comes through really, really nicely. Makes it like not massive and not impact, like hard hitting, but a really nice Moorish cheese. I just could keep on going back for that. It's really, really cool. Yeah, like that a lot. Next cheese we have up, we have Eve. Sorry, just trying to open it here. Eve is like a really cute cheese, eh? Look at this. Wrapped in a vine leaf, that is. Really cool. It's washed in a brandy as well. So that's 3 like washed cheeses. This is far more lighter, and most people wouldn't quite kind of get that note that's in there. So it's not as pronounced as a wash rind cheese. Lovely little kind of click as you cut through the cheese, and this beautiful paste from not being a cow's milk cheese. So you can see that pure whiteness that's going on. Good breakdown on the outside that we're seeing there. Really, really nice. Aroma. You know, I'm getting that element, a touch of like farmyard, but more acidity in the citrus kind of area. Milky, quite low yield. You know, I've given you a pungent Edmund Tew. I wanted to dial it down a little bit. The leaf is edible, so, you know, try it with and without and see how you get on. Let's have a little taste. That texture is dense. You know, there's a lot going on in there. That creamy almond area, warmed milk that's coming through, a little bit farmy. That savoury element, but it's high, very, very milky, coats the palate just like you've had a glass of water. This stage, we've had some kind of depth to the last couple of cheeses. This is quite light in a way and very, very refreshing. Touch of like tonic bitterness. That's great as well. That leaf, I'd recommend with the leaf. It's got that rigidity in there, which is kind of satisfying to have that almost crunch about it, which is cool. Cracking first 3 cheeses. I'm really happy about this. I always like try and remove myself from knowing these cheeses, but if this was served in a restaurant, I'd be so happy with it. This is a good balanced cheese board. I know I'm marking my own homework. We can all see it. Let's move on to the cheddar. So, like I said, I want to get that degree of like interesting stuff, lightness, with a little bit of challenge, and then move into some traditional big flavours, you know, for that kind of al fresco, outside, mum's getting out picky bits kind of cheese. And this cheese is a la mole. So we did it back in Burns night, and it's just the batches that we have been so happy with. They're really big and powerful, and I think it would suit this kind of level well. Aroma, you know, you've got that typical cheddary, like lemonade kind of area that it sits in almost. Little bit of back of kind of like, you can get that kind of meatiness that's there as well. Really, really nice. I'm going to just lap off this bit. I'll grab that. Let's have a taste. Texture is cool. There's a lot of cheese going on there in such a small bite. Unpasteurized cow's milk, so I'm getting more, it feels like terroir, like minerality. The saltiness isn't just table salt, it's a bit sea salty, more mineral. Nice kind of level of that kind of tartness that comes through from the tang into savoury, and tons of length. So much for length. A little bit of mushroom on that rind that's in there, which is quite cool. That's a different dimension. That kind of floral note picking up on the Ashcombe that we had before is in there as well. A lot going on, like an assault on the palate. Amazing cheddar, actually. Really, really good profile. So much length. I've got a little bit of crunch in there as well. You know, crunch isn't guaranteed. We've heard that the commercial large supermarkets are now, you know, putting that in their milk, their batches, to make sure that they have that kind of breakdown that happens. And then we finish up on a nice little traditional, a nice Stilton. You know, yeah, Christmas is well out of our minds now, and Stilton, I just feel like it's just really good at the moment. It's just coming through so well. It's got that kind of mixed creamy texture. So we've got, you know, it's not all about flavour, it's not all about aroma, it's about different textures to keep your palate entertained. Cropwell is one of our favourite, well, is our Stilton. You know, it's the only cheese that we feel like we put it in these rooms, we wait for that bluing in the middle to turn, you know, not in the middle all over the cheese, it's really consistent bluing, to almost turn this blue-black kind of colour. When that's there, we're ready to go, you know, and this is definitely ready to go, which is great. So let's cut down on that. Have a little smell. You know, traditional what you get, that biscuity, savoury, meat area, that kind of like barley, grain, wheaty kind of area, which is good. Let's have a taste. Sometimes I just love a Stilton. Surprisingly light. I don't normally get that from the Stiltons. Normally, these are quite dense cheeses that we've got. This sits on the palate and kind of dissipates, evaporates immediately. You know, you've got none of that harshness. You know, people don't like that bitterness. A little touch of it just then at the end. A little bit of spiciness, which I may have confused for bitterness actually. More spicy than bitter. People don't like blues because of that astringency that you get, that kind of paracetamol edge. And this patch just doesn't have it at all. Really, really nice. It's got like that kind of crumbly-esque Wensleydale, like it breaks apart and your mouth still has to work, which makes it unlock so many different senses across the nose, because 5 flavours on the tongue, in the nose so much more, becomes aromatic, almost roast meaty, delicious. And that's your 5 cheeses for May. I hope